Okay, so today we're going to be going over an 820-2530. It turns on, but there's no chime and there's nothing on the screen. Now, you can see, man, again, like I don't get anything that makes sense anymore. I just get shit like this where yeah, somebody did something. I'm not sure what they were thinking, but somebody was doing something. And here's the thing. It's going to be harder to spot the point of original corrosion when it was that somebody was doing something than it is if you just see the board freshly damaged. Well, let's try to get an idea. So there was some funniness in this area. I see funniness, and I see a lot of stuff that doesn't look particularly nice. Now, when there's no image, that's one thing to troubleshoot no image. But when there's no chime, when it doesn't go dong and turn on, that is often something having to do with CPU vCore, CPU not turning on, CPU not engaging. So let's just take a little look over here at the area that appears to be fucked up. See if it makes any sense. So this over here is the BIOS chip area, and then this over here is U7600. Now, if I go over to the schematic and search for U7600, what I find is that that's for CPU VTT. Now, this is going to be something important because it is for the CPU, which is part of why the machine is not chiming. Now, if I look in that area, before I even bother turning this thing on, let's just see if let's just get some basics down pat. So what are some of the things that you should look for if a chip itself is not turning on? So what should you look for if, well, what would you look for? What was I talking about? Okay. See if I can remember my train of thought from a minute ago. But the first thing to do is just try to look for what looks physically somewhat nasty. And if we zoom in over here, now one of the things you're going to realize with resistors is that you don't necessarily have that same. Oh boy, let's see. Okay, you don't necessarily have the metal tabs that you do when they look nicely. So before they're damaged. So let's take this for example. See this? It has a nice metal tab, and then the metal tab is soldered onto the board with a nice solder joint. Now when you look at a fucked up resistor, the metal tab is gone. You kind of see this white stuff. See that? It's kind of like the resistor itself, but the conducting element that attaches it to the board is not really there anymore. Let's see if we can look at others in this area that may look the same. So these all look black and nasty. Let's just take a look at what's important in this area and see where we should even start measuring. So if I look at what's important in that particular area, what I may notice is that this chip is going to be powered off of 5 volts, but that 5 volts is not going straight to the chip on this one pin, V5 filt. That's going to the chip through R7601. So the highest voltage point here in this area is going to be where the 5 volt rail of the computer directly goes over to U7600. Now, if I were to measure this, let's get that view over here. We get the multimeter over here. Of course, it's going to be off camera. Yeah, what the hell? Oh, well, I tried. Yeah, I suck at filming. All right, fuck it, I'll just read it. So I'm going to measure R7601. And we get 300. $220. Okay, so what I was talking about makes no sense. Yeah, so this makes a pretty terrible video. I got confused in the middle of what I was talking about. So the resistor that was bad was actually one of the SPI ROM resistors. So the issue had to do, it was most likely BIOS related all along and had nothing to do with CPU VTT. Now, believe it or not, the only component that was truly bad was the one that I showed you where the resistor, you could see the white stuff on it. The rest of these components, believe it or not, are actually most likely fine. I'm just replacing because, you know, they looked really disgusting. And that one flew away. Okay, find another one of same value, same value, same value. Go, same value. I can put those all on as uneven as I want because I'm going to just add flux and hot air at the end anyway. So as long as they're sitting somewhat near where I want them, I'm fine for now. If I'm placing, 10 or 20 or 30 components in a row, wasting time sorting each one is a waste of time. Each one of those is pretty awful solder joints, and I don't care at this point in time. Not because I'm somebody who encourages bad workmanship, but you're going to see. So each one of those sections has nice fresh solder on it. And what I'm going to do here, zing, get flux, heat from far away first. Slowly come in. Get the resistors on the right and the left one. Now all the stuff around the CPU VTT chip. And you all just kind of flow into place. After that, it's going to go into the ultrasonic cleaner because, this board looks like, yeah, I'm not giving this back to somebody looking like this. And then we'll see if we have a chime. That's the capacitor that blew away before. So yeah, the issue here was most likely with one of the BIOS and series termination resistors. So let's see. R6152 is the one that I showed you. R6152. So this is where the BIOS chip, which is U6100, or quote-unquote SPI ROM, to be proper about it, is SPI Mossy Mux. SPI Mux bypass. So that's where the BIOS is going to talk to U1400, which is the MCP. All right, so now when we take a look at it, so we get under the microscope, yeah, it still looks like shit, but that's because it's a 7-year-old board that somebody probably pissed or shit on or threw Coca-Cola on. So what do you expect? Again, 7 years old. But let's see if it works. So I have my screen over here, my shitty board, my DCN board, a fan, and let's see what I get. This charger is trolling. Come on, you piece of shit. I don't know if it's because my charger has a DCN board pin that's burned, or if it's the DCN board having a burned pin, or both. Yeah, great test setup. There we go. Okay, fan spin, but that wasn't it. The issue is that no video, no chime. Yay! All right, let's see if we get a question mark folder. I should have plugged in an operating system. Damn it. Now I have to hold this shit for a minute. Give me a question mark. Oh man, this is boring as hell. Here we go. And there you go. It works. So the CPU wasn't turning on because some series terminated resistors with the SPI ROM chip, otherwise known as the BIOS chip for those of you guys that work on PCs mostly, was corroded. And again, no image and no chime. First place to look, is my CPU turning on? And that's that for today. As always, I hope you learned something.